Gallade fires off the Leaf Blade on the CMP tide. To my surprise, the opponent shield the low health ape, revealing they must be incredibly weak to Gallade. Old trainer, you're in trouble. The opponent not wanting it farm down. Pivot out into public enemy number one, aka Wallface, but Wallface going to be straight in and straight as we hit him with that bang. There it is. As always, shout out to one of the OGs of the community, the GOAT, one of my favourite content creators, Oxford U. Hopefully, now the game is running somewhat better than it has been for a few seasons now, hopefully he's going to make his longly awaited return to the YouTube platform. Speaking of the YouTube platform, I mean no disrespect to anyone else, but I think content has been horrendously boring recently. People telling us if you run Skarmory, Azumarill, Registeel, etc., you'll win in the Fantasy Cup. No fucking shit, Sherlock. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out if you use the top, most boring, bulkiest, basic bitch meta Pokemon, you'll go positive. However, that's not what we're about on this channel. We're here to bring that epic entertainment with some fun, exciting battles, and today is no different. Firstly, huge shout out to Bindweb for today's battle footage. He is running 3 very glassy, very powerful Shadow Pokemon in the Great League, all with that big boom potential. I've been yapping for far too much. So without any further ado, let's get into the battles. And in game 1, we lead Gallade into Vigor, aka the king of the Theme Cup. Unfortunately for Vigor, this is the open Great League. The opponent save switches into Shadow Gallade and we respond with Sonic the Hedgehog. We go straight for the Ice Punch, forcing the opponent's first Protect Shield. Our featured battler today, Bindweb, unlike his opponent, instantly clicks the no shield, daring the opponent to force him the dig, and they say thank you very much, getting their own big boom. Sonic the Hedgehog gets one shot vanquished, back to its Pokeball, but Bindweb, undeterred, sends out Typhlosion. We're going to be forced to shield up what's likely an Aerial Ace bait. However, this opponent, not a fan of baiting, forcing the dig, which is going to allow Typhlosion to get a massive Incinerate farm down at the cost of only 1 Protect Shield. Back out comes Vigor, Bindweb not messing around, full sends the Blast Burn, rocking Vigor deep into the red. We pivot back out into Gallade, and out comes Gator. Gallade so spammy, already doubled up the first Leaf Blade, forces the opponent's final Protect Shield. Gallade says there's plenty more of where that came on the second Leaf Blade, vanquishes Gator, back to its Pokeball, back out comes Vigor, we reach one further Leaf Blade, and just like that, Bindweb is off to a very emphatic 1-0 start. GG's, and thanks for playing. In the next battle, we lead Gallade into Azumarill, despite us being a fighter and then being a fairy type, a very nice matchup, due to Gallade having access to Psycho Cut and Leaf Blade. The opponent save switches into the ever-annoying Marshmallow, and we respond with Typhlosion. We force a Protect Shield with the Blast Burn, the opponent then spams their move, giving us a full free Incinerate, which is going to allow Typhlosion to get the full Incinerate farm down, leaving minimal farm for the returning Azumarill. Or at least that's what I'd expect the opponent to send back out. They're waiting out their clock. Back out does come the mighty Blue Mouse, and we're firing off the Blast Burn. Thunder Punch would do slightly more damage, but Blast Burn, a very busted move, still does around 25%. We send back out Gallade, fire off the Leaf Blade. Leaf Blade goes unshielded, but then look to make an Ice Beam or play Rough Catch onto Sandslash unsuccessfully. Bindweb respects a potential Hydro Pump, which the opponent full sends, and that is a huge Protect Shield. The opponent sends out alolan Ninetales, and this thing is absolutely helpless in this battle. Regardless of whatever moveset the opponent's got, Sonic going to completely wall them. I've just realised as well, there's a triple fairy team from the opponent. Unless this is some kind of theme team, what the heck were you thinking? It is actually a serious effort team. Trainer, you have some very glaring weaknesses. As I said previously, you can see that this alolan Ninetales is completely helpless in this battle. The opponent still playing it out, so Bindweb going to give him that work. We pivot back out into Gallade. Gallade, Leaf Blades A9, able to Psycho Cut farm down Azumarill, and we take that game. In the next battle, we see a Nightmare lead. Pidgeot, not something Gallade wants to see, especially not on Legacy Gust. We save switch into Typhlosion, baiting out Annihilate. Bindweb farms to the Blast Burn bait with the Thunder Punch, the opponent petrified, shit in their pants, put up that Protect Shield. Bindweb happy to match shields, and he is looking for that kill shot. With full sending the Blast Burn, does the opponent respect the damage? They do not, and just like that, switch advantage is ours, which means Sonic the Hedgehog is going to be able to get its paws on this Pigeon. Much like the previous battle, Sandslash going to be a complete wall to all of this Pidgeot's energy, and they actually fire off the Feather Dance, which essentially healed us. However, it did give us a 2-stage lowered attack. But Sonic hits pretty hard in the Great League. Ice Punch still commands the shield, and Sonic says there's plenty more of where that came from. The 2-stage debuffed Ice Punch rocks him down to around a third health. Bindweb again dares the opponent to fire off the Brave Bird. The opponent ever horny, firing off debuff after debuff. Sonic reaches one further Ice Punch. This is now 4-stage debuff, but still secures the knockout. We pivot out into Gallade, not allowing the opponent any free farm, and out comes Gligar. Bindweb putting all his hopes and dreams on the low health Sandslash, looking for that shield flex. Can the opponent wing attack farm us down? No, they cannot. Sonic holds strong, reaches a double super effective Ice Punch, and that is going to be all she wrote, with one Protect Shield save for next season. Heading into the next battle, we see Gallade into public enemy number 1, aka Wallface. This is not where Bastion wants to be. Bindweb not baiting, full send in the close combat. Blue Mr. Opponent goes shielded. The opponent save switches into their Razor Leaf user, but Victory Bell going to be straight in and straight out. 3 Incinerates delete Victory Bell in the blink of an eye. Typhlosion fires off one further Incinerate. Bindweb recognising we're not in 2 smackdown range, fires off the Blast Burn. Blast Burn lands for huge damage. Unfortunately, we don't reach the second Blast Burn, but that's okay, as Gallade has plenty of energy. Back out comes Gallade. We shield up the Flamethrower. Bindweb farming up to the double close combat trainer. Pick your poison. The next close combat forces yet another Protect Shield, and we see the Soilmore swap of Sandslash into Wigglytuff, and that is going to be check and mate. This toxic team has nowhere to run and nowhere to hide, with Bindweb very much in the driver's seat. It seems like an ongoing theme in today's video that Sandslash would completely wall all of Wigglytuff's energy. Not that stupid tap charmer is ever going to reach a charge move. Back out comes Bastion. The opponent fires off the Flamethrower thinking they have a chance, but nah trainer, we're just playing with our food. Back out comes Gallade. We hit him with that bang, take the game, and that trainer should reconsider their life choices. Heading into the next battle. This time, we see Shadow Vic in the lead. We say switch into Typhlosion, drawing out Dugong, which is by no means a good response. Bindweb farms up to the Blast Burn, baits with the Thunder Punch. The opponent shows huge cojones calling that bait. Bindweb shields up the Icy Wind, which is ever annoying. Can we still Incinerate farm down? Oh man. Unfortunately, Bindweb going to go down 2 Protect Shields in the mid game. If the opponent has no response for Typhlosion, we could still be in business here. The opponent sends out Skeledirge. We fire off the Blast Burn, even 2-stage debuff and resisted. It does so much damage. Bindweb switch timer pops up, so he pivots back out into Gallade. He's able to fire off the Leaf Blade, forcing the opponent's first Protect Shield. The opponent farms up all the way to 100 energy, and I think we are in so much trouble. Skeledirge fires off the Disarming Voice. Bindweb waits out his timer, sends back out Typhlosion, looks to play to CMP, but the opponent smartly take the extra. Can they Incinerate farm us down? Oh man. The opponent banks the Shadow Ball, then send back out Victory Bell, and unfortunately that is going to be game over for us. Even if Bindweb farms up 2 double charge moves, Sandslash does not win CMP against Skeledirge. We've got around a 115 attack. The opponent has around a 121. So the opponent, regardless of any funky IV spread, will be winning this battle. Very well played to that opponent. Heading into the next battle, we see Shadow Gallade into their basic bitch tin can, a Registeel. The opponent opting to stay in, and I think we're just going to full send, and that is exactly what Bindweb's doing. Does the opponent respect the damage? Boo! The opponent used their Protect Shield, but Gallade just far out spams Reggie. The opponent baits with the Focus Blast, but no bait. We'll be saving this opponent's fate. Gallade almost doubled up again, and again we're full sending. This time it goes unshielded. Get that Reggie off my screen. Gallade gets that 1-hit KO, leaves very healthy with residual energy, good to go. Out comes Charizard. Close combat is resisted, but still commands a shield. As we hit like a truck, we pivot into Typhlosion, baiting out Goodra, and this time it's us that's fully walled, or at least on paper. But do you think Typhlosion cares about Type-ins? Evidently not. Look at that Blast Burn damage. Typhlosion, you absolute menace. Goodra leaves on a sliver of HP. We send out Sandslash, looking to operate as the damage sponge. Even a Draco won't do that much damage. The opponent just fires off the Aqua Tail. We get the Shadow Claw farm down. Back out comes Charizard. We reach the Ice Punch, which hits for neutral. Ice Punch leaves the opponent insanely low. Bindweb can just shield this move up. The opponent's got one chance to YOLO the Blast Burn, which they do here. We Shadow Claw farm down and take that game. In the next battle, we see Dragonair in the lead. Gallade not appreciative of this Dragon Breath damage. I personally very rarely bait, but I definitely bait this Dragonair, as people who lead Dragonair usually double shield it and look to RPS the back line. We save switch into Sandslash, which is by no means a good save switch, but as the opponent's leading a dragon, they're unlikely to have a counter user in the back. Well, I guess you could run something like Deoxys, which would still use counter, but wouldn't be weak to Fairy. Wigglytuff are very common, so you're unlikely to have the combination of a dragon plus fighter, so I think Sonic is an alright save switch in this scenario. The opponent fires off the Ice Beam. Sonic withstands the damage as it is double resisted and reaches one further drill run, getting Azumarill down to around 20% HP. Bindweb actually opts to send out Typhlosion, which is taking massive damage from these bubbles, but as the opponent only has one Protect Shield, too hard behind, he's looking to get all the energy in the world. We actually bank a Blast Burn for the road, pivot back out into Gallade, drawing back out Dragonair. We fire off the Leaf Blade. Leaf Blade forces the opponent's final Protect Shield, and Blast Burn is certainly going to one-shot, despite being resisted, because Typhlosion does not care about typings. Dragonair gets vanquished, back to its Pokeball, Typhlosion, smelling blood, out comes Registeel, and that is going to be game over. The tin can, straight in and straight out. Reggie gets one-shot vanquished, back to its Pokeball. We incinerate farm down Azumarill, and Typhlosion 1v3s, heading into the next battle. We see Gallade into Ferrothorn. Once again, we find ourselves in the bait game. Not that Bindweb's a fan of baiting. We force them the close combat, forcing us early shield advantage, and pivot out into Typhlosion. We sneak and incinerate, and when that registers, it's going to do a lot of damage. The opponent fires off the Thunder, and then pivot out into their own Typhlosion, running Shadow Claw. Bindweb full sends the Blast Burn. Holy crap. That resisted move near one-shot the opponent. We now send out Gallade. The opponent bait with the Thunder Punch, but they're unable to reach another move. Gallade leaves with residual energy good to go, so Ferrothorn likely will not be returning. The opponent sends out Skeledirge, and this time it's us in trouble. We actually throw at quite poor timing. We fire off the Leaf Blade. Leaf Blade number one goes unshielded this time. Bindweb fires off the close combat, which is double resisted, but again, look at the damage output, and it's now all down to Sonic to clean up. Bindweb burns the final Protect Shield, correctly shielding up the Shadow Ball. The opponent now pivots back out into Ferrothorn, but I don't think they're going to get off one further Incinerate. So we should be sitting in an alright spot here. Sonic able to force the final Protect Shield with the Ice Punch. The second Ice Punch leaves the opponent incredibly low. Sonic's bulk about to be put to the test. Can we survive a Thunder? Yes, we can. We leave insanely low, but that just isn't going to matter as Shadow Claw is going to register before the Incinerate, and we're somehow able to take that game. In the next battle, we see the battle of the Psychic types. Bindweb fires off a Leaf Blade. Leaf Blade still does quite a lot of damage, despite not getting same type attack bonus. Leaf Blade's actually one of the very best moves in the game. 35 energy for 70 damage. It's even better than Body Slam, which is 35 energy for 65 damage, and we all know how annoying a lot of these Body Slam users are, like Vigor and Licky, far too thicky. We see the save switch into Typhlosion, baiting out Jellicent. Jellicent, not a fan whatsoever of that Thunder Punch. Likewise, Typhlosion not going to appreciate the Surf. Surf actually one-shots us, and we now send out Sonic. The opponent hanging on to 2 Protect Shields. Bindweb, unlike his opponent, opting to use his shields. We get baited with the Surf, but the opponent unable to reach another charge move. Out comes the basic bitch tin cans. The opponent likely starts using their shields here. We fire off the drill run, forcing the protection. We pivot out into Gallade. What the heck was that? It looks like the opponent tried to sack Deoxys, which didn't appear on the screen, got Psycho Cut farm down, and the opponent conceded the match. In the next battle, we see Annihilate in the lead. The opponent says no thank you, save switch into Dugong. Bindweb farms up a boatload of energy and makes a very nice Icy Wing catch onto Typhlosion. The opponent could have actually reached the drill run before we reach this Blast Burn, but they're just over farming, so Bindweb takes the initiative, fires off the Blast Burn, near one-shot in Dugong. We're now just going to be able to shield, keep alignment at the cost of 1 Protect Shield. Typhlosion did get debuffed in the process, but we already seen throughout this showcase, Typhlosion doesn't care about any attack drops. Back out comes Annihilate. We full send the Blast Burn, which lands for huge damage. We then go for that wham, bam, combo play, pivot out into Gallade. Leaf Blade number 1 forces the protection. We then fire off the second one on the charge attack priority. To my surprise, the opponent invests that final Protect Shield Trainer. If you don't like Gallade, you are certainly in trouble. I already know what's in the back, as this is going to be Jason's team. Out comes Wallface. You know what time it is. Wallface going to be straight in and straight out close combat. Double super effective. Get that Bastiodon off my screen. We're going to fire off the BM close combat into the ape, and Gallade is going to sweep the back line. GG's, and thanks for playing. In the next battle, we see a tricky lead. Both Gallade and Typhlosion. Not a huge fan of Gligar, although Gligar not a fan of these Incinerates. The opponent stays in. Bindweb looking for the kill shot. Full sends the Blast Burn, which of course goes shielded. Bindweb just dares the opponent to full send the dig. They actually settle for an Aerial Ace, which would allow us to get off one further Incinerate. The opponent not wanting that to happen. Save switch into Annihilate, and we can now align Gallade into a matchup where it isn't all that bad. The opponent doesn't farm up to a potential Shadow Ball, so we see Bindweb no shield the Nightstash, then overfarm beautifully, playing to the charge attack priority. Leaf Blade does secure the knockout. Out comes Charger Bug, which should fully wall Gallade, but close combat still lands for almost half their HP. Switch timer pops up. We pivot out into Sandslash, fire off the Ice Punch on the charge attack priority. Ice Punch, of course, forces the opponent's final Protect Shield, as Gligar wants no part of Sonic. The opponent does bait us with the X-Scissor, but it's just going to be simply too little, too late. As no bait will be saving this opponent's fate. Bindweb shields up the discharge. He then farms up to the double Ice Punch. The first one will be knocking out Charger Bug, and the second is going to one-shot the returning Gligar. The opponent actually concede the match before we land the boom, but we still emerge victorious. Heading into the next battle, we lead Shadow Gallade into Carbink, aka Stinky Binky, or something I personally think looks like a butt plug. Honestly, who at the Pokemon Company designed that thing? It looks horrendous. However, returning to the commentary, the opponent save switches into Sableye. We respond with Typhlosion. The opponent looks to call her bait. They fucked about. They found out. We keep alignment back out. Comes Carbink. This is one of the few Pokemon that can actually tank moves from Typhlosion, as they are insanely thick. The opponent does get the full Rock Throw farm down. We send back out Gallade. We fire off the Leaf Blade on the CMP tie to a potential Rock Slide. I've got no idea why you'd throw Rock Slide at Gallade. Of course, fighting Resist Rock. We might be glassy, but that silly butt plug hits like a wet noodle. The opponent save switches into Trevenant. We respond with Sonic. This does look like RPS for the win. However, the opponent has two Protect Shields too hard behind. Oh my days, that is honestly one of the worst baits I have ever seen. As we only had one Protect Shield, I think the opponent should be going straight Shadow Ball, looking to try and make us call a bait. However, it is what it is. Carbink users aren't all that smart, which is evidently proved in this battle. The opponent played like a potato, and we're going to emerge victorious. GG's, and thanks for playing. In the next battle, we see the Bear Trap in the lead. This thing has had a rise in popularity, as it's pretty good into that really toxic team of Wigglytuff, Bastiodon, and a Razor Leaf user, where it can fight back against all three Pokemon. This opponent save switches into Shadow Machamp. We stay in with Gallade, force both Protect Shields with the Leaf Blade. You can see just how oppressive Machamp is. The resisted counter doing massive damage. Machamp, famous for being able to bully its way through matchups, it's got no right in winning, a firm favourite of mine. We now send out Typhlosion. Typhlosion gets a massive Incinerate farm down at the cost of one Protect Shield, and out comes Azumarill. Azumarill not going to be appreciative of the Thunder Punch. We fire off the Thunder Punch, pivot out into Sonic the Hedgehog. Bindweb farms up, fires off the Drill Run, and this is quite a tricky spot to be in. Are we going to look to shield a potential Hydro Pump, or are we going to save it for a potential Earthquake? Bindweb tanks the Hydro Pump, the opponent able to bubble farm down, but I think they just Incinerate farm down range. Bindweb sends out Typhlosion, the opponent recognises they're going to get farm down, send out Stunfisk. Stunfisk going to get one shot vanquished, back to their Pokeball, but the opponent able to bubble farm down Typhlosion and win a very close game. GG's to that opponent. In the next battle, we see Gallade into the Steel Penguin. Once again, the bait game. Bindweb this time actually opting for the neutral Leaf Blade bait. The opponent respects the potential close combat, putting up a Protect Shield. Bindweb actually just going to completely sack Gallade and opt to send out Typhlosion. Typhlosion going to be looking for the one shield, Incinerate farm all the way down. It's going to be close. Can we get it? The opponent stays in, look to reach the next Hydro Cannon. Bindweb recognising the opponent would get there, fire off the Thunder Punch on the charge attack priority. Out comes the Angry Ape, and this is really scary. Bindweb hoping the opponent look to call a bait. We full send a Blast Burn. The opponent shows no respect. Get that Annihilate off my screen. Out comes for Alligator. Thunder Punch, Shadow and Shadow Crime will be forcing the opponent's final protection. We pivot out into Sonic. We can just shield this move up and fire off the Drill Run. Bindweb's that shot. Nah. Sonic thick enough to tank a Shadow Hydro Cannon. He's going to save yet another shield for next season. Reach the Drill Run and we take that game. Very nicely done. Heading into the next battle. We see Gallade into Skarmory. 2 better responses in the back. Bindweb banks the close combat for the road. Pivots into Typhlosion. Baiting out Dragalge. Dragalge not something too commonly seen in the Great League meta. The opponent, recognising a resisted Blast Burn would do a lot of damage, actually opt to invest the Protect Shield. The opponent fires off the Aqua Tail, securing the knockout. Dragalge quite problematic for Gallade to deal with. Despite us being a Psychic type and then being a Poison type, Leaf Blade would be resisted as well as the close combat, so we opt to send out Sonic, revealing our third. Bindweb overfarmed before firing off the Ice Punch. Ice Punch from this range will be securing the knockout. Speaking of things that are going to be problematic to deal with, that Skarmory of energy is also going to be a problem. Back out comes Skarmory. Bindweb fires off the Ice Punch. Ice Punch hits for neutral but doesn't do too much damage. We then pivot back out into Gallade, drawing at Hakamoto. Bindweb looking for that kill shot. Does the opponent respect the damage? There's another big boom. Hakamoto actually survived on a sliver of HP, but Nera's got one shot. Back out comes Skarmory again. Bindweb fires off the close combat, forcing the opponent's final Protect Shield. The opponent is going to be looking to Steel Wing farm us down, or at least that's what they should be doing. The opponent actually opt to throw a charge move in. Web's like, thank you very much for the free Shadow Claw. Despite the opponent making a mistake there, I think we simply have too little HP. The opponent able to Steel Wing farm down, and we're going to take a heartbreaking loss. In the next battle, we see Mantine in the lead. We're save switching into Typhlosion, which ironically has a pretty decent matchup here. Due to the recent move update, gaining access to Thunder Punch, the opponent chips us with the Aerial Ace, then send out Annihilate. We full send the Blast Burn. Blast Burn does go shielded. The opponent going to be able to counter, farm us down. We now send out Gallade. Gallade is going to get outpaced to a potential Shadow Ball. Holy crap, Bindweb, you sir must wear shorts even in winter. That is a savage call, calling the Sandslash bait. We're able to fire off the Leaf Blade, forcing the opponent's final Protect Shield. Gallade then able to reach the next Leaf Blade on the CMP tie. Bindweb has manoeuvred his way around this really tricky situation fantastically. The opponent even's got a counter for Sandslash, but it simply isn't going to matter as Drill Run is going to knock out with an additional Shadow Claw. Back out comes Mantine. Mantine hitting for resisted with the wing attack. There is no shot to win this game, right? Or is there? Come on, Sonic, get there. Get there, buddy. Sonic able to get there. What a win. Holy cow. Bindweb, I take my hat off to you, buddy. GG's. In the next battle, we see the battle of the Psychic types. 2 better response in the back, so imagine we're going to look to catch a potential Moonblast onto probably Typhlosion. The opponent actually goes straight for a Grass Knot, which is very annoying. Grass Knot actually did quite a lot of damage. Bindweb banks a boatload of energy, then sends out Typhlosion, and out comes Bastiodon. Oh man, things are looking dire. Our featured battler today running one of the glassiest teams you could possibly run, and the opponent running one of the bulkiest teams you could possibly run. We actually force a protection in the mid game with the Blast Burn, land the second Blast Burn. Typhlosion actually puts in so much work against Wallface. Bindweb sends back out Gallade, fires off the close combat on the charge attack priority. Close combat goes unshielded. Back out comes Cresselia, and we really need our switch timer, or we're just going to get Psycho Cut farm down. We fire off the Leaf Blade. Switch timer does pop up. We pivot out into Sandslash. The opponent stays in, looking for the chip and dip. Bindweb looking to keep some health on Sandslash, and out comes Steelix. Come on, Sonic, you sir need to carry us once again. We fire off the Drill Run, landing for massive super effective damage. We're then able to reach the Ice Punch. Ice Punch won't be lethal from this range, but the opponent does invest that final Protect Shield. To be fair, maybe it would knock out from there. It takes 8 to the first Earthquake. The opponent throws after only 7, which is a mistake from them. It gave Bindweb a very nice opportunity to no-shield the first move. We actually shield up the second as we are debuffed. Bindweb then farms up just before the double Ice Punch. It's going to be a race. Sandslash versus Cresselia. We're one off. We reach the Ice Punch, but opt not to throw as we're so debuffed. Even a Grass Knot knocks us out. Come on, Gallade, make the Leaf Blade. Oh man, unfortunately, Bulk Beats our triple Shadow Spies. Side note, I bet that last opponent is such good fun at parties. I thought their team was pretty bulky and pretty boring before I saw the Steelix in the back. Huge shout out to today's featured battle of Bindweb for showcasing a very fun team in the Open Great League, with all three Mon showing big boom potential. So if you're enjoying the content, smash that like button if you're new, consider subscribing if you'd like your battles featured on my channel. A link to our battle submission form is down below, and as always, a huge thank you to everyone for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.